What's going on YouTube? Got my league starter here. We're going to see how it works out with the new Chieftain Ascendancy. We're going with Ignite, Artillery Ballista Totem Chieftain. We're just going to try to get big burns with the new Control Blaze gem. There's another new one too that expedites the Ignite, but I think I'm going to pass on that for now and give this a try first. And basically, my thought is I kind of want to make an RPG build, is what it comes down to. So it's a little bit of a hybrid. As far as the tree, it is what it is. I think it'll work out. You got a ton of survivability, a ton of armor, elemental resistances. So I think it's gonna work out well. I think I'm going to get some crazy burns, and the premise of the build is we're going to be using ballista totems for our kind of our mapping and our standard DPS, and if we bring this over, um, we use, let's see, Control Blaze, right? So supported skills have 29% chance to ignite, and each supported skill deals 14% more damage with ignite for each ignite inflicted, with it recently up to a maximum of 364%, right? So you're going to deal less damage as a result of all of this, up to 78%, but your ignite should be insane. So, my thought process is if we use ballista totems for mapping and all that kind of stuff, but also to help proc all of those, that bonus for ignites, right, and try to get it up to that 364%, and just get a really massive ignite with bow, explosive arrow, snipe. So we're going to see how this works out. My thought is, as explosive arrow combines all of the damage, we'll try to get all those hits to and we'll use Control Blaze on both, on the main ability for bossing on explosive arrow snipe, and then also on the others, so that I'm assuming that they will work with each other. So I don't know any reason why it wouldn't, because any skills that are using that ability or that support take advantage. So I would assume it would work similarly to some of the other life tap things like that. And that's the plan, right? Is just to snipe and put on a massive um, ignite onto a boss or whatever. Like, this would typically only be used for bosses or rare enemies or things that are difficult to kill. Otherwise, you would just use the totems and just drop them and run. Um, and then as far as the actual ascendancy itself, I think a lot of people are going to go up into Velocco Storm. I personally play softcore, so I'm actually not going to use Velocco Storm's Embrace. We are going to take Tesalio for just so we can, our fire resistances, will stack it all over the place, and then it'll just apply, elsewhere, and we won't have to put the other resists too much on our gear. We can focus on chaos and just minimal lightning and cold, and then we're also unaffected by ignite, right? So if you're playing softcore, you may want to end up going with hardcore. You may want to end up going with Velocos and dropping the totem uh, ascendancy node. Again, this might be a sufficient amount of recoup. So that's my hope, is that this regen here is going to help with just staying alive, and I'm less worried about getting more cap, because we'll have capped armor. And once we get our gear, I have my gear in there, that's not, it's very minimal rolls and stuff, and we're at 71 and we have 90 and all that, as far as physical damage reduction. So we're going to go with physical damage reduction and spell suppress, since we work our way over into the dex kind of ranger area. So we're going to focus on those two things as our defenses, and then life regen, right? So, which we're not going to have a ton of, but I'm assuming that this will work. And then we take, obviously, Hinakora, Death's Fury for the explode, and that'll just help with clear. We'll have even more explosions. And then lastly, nearby enemies' fire resistance is 0 against damage over time while you're stationary. And that'll really come into play with Snipe when we stand there to charge up our, or our channeling, our 6, whatever it is, channels. This will be stationary, and it will cause them to have 0% resistance over, with damage over time. So that's my thought. and the kind of the premise of the build. As far as the tree goes, we're going to come down through here, take some life and some armor. We'll come up a little more life here, some accuracy and some just some intelligence. So this will be nice. I'm assuming I'll need this early once I have a nice amulet and stuff like that. Maybe I can get away from some of these types of nodes. Then we come up. We will take fire resistance here, +1. Plus a little life. We'll take a jewel socket here. This is just kind of a generic one that I created. Life and burning damage, chance to ignite. Nothing crazy. Very, very simple. And as you can see, the damage on our snipe explosive arrow is pretty massive. And then, it's still pretty good with the totems. So that's a lot of ignite damage with very minimal gear. And we'll get to that and you'll see that the rolls on them are decent. I tried to put rolls that I would be looking for, but I put them literally right in the middle. So it's like, typically they're tier 3 type rolls. And, we're getting pretty good damage here. Again, then we'll come over here and you get a couple to, all elemental resistances here in prismatic skin. We'll cruise around. You get some armor and some more max Ellie. And then down here, you get your reservation efficiency, so that'll help us with our auras. Come up, take a little bit of life. Endurance charge when you are hit, so this will just help some more with defenses since we're not going to be taking advantage of Velocco Storm's Embrace. And then up here, we just take the new Lava Lash, which damage penetrates 8% fire resistance and 30% fire damage with attack skills. So that'll be a nice damage node. And then then we come down across the bottom here, we're going to take the attack totem skill points, and then totem mastery, 5% of damage from hits is taken from your nearest totem's life before you. Just another survivability tactic because we're not going to be taking advantage of the fire resistance applied to all max fire res. You know what? We don't need that. We were playing with some frenzies and it wasn't as beneficial in this as I was hoping. So as of now, we will not be using frenzies. But then we'll come down here, just another 15% chance to press spell damage if you've hit an enemy recently. Let's see, have you hit recently? Yeah. So okay, so that's already being applied. But again, a little evasion and armor. We're not going to be taking advantage of evasion too much. Come up here and just take deadly draw for a little bit of damage. Come up here. We take this accuracy note. You have this one here if you need it earlier, but this is crit strike chance, which we're not super worried about. So we're just going to take the Ellie res on this with the accuracy. And then we want the burning brutality. I thought about taking dirty techniques, but I think for now I'm going to pass on it. I think the ignite should be big enough to where we'll be okay without that. And then we come around and we're just going to take Farsight just for a little bit of more accuracy, attack speed, and damage with the bows. Take all the life down to long shot, and this is just projectile speed. Projectiles gain damage the farther they travel. So again, the farther they travel, the more damage they'll do. And then we come up here into the primeval force just for elemental, and we take these 2 chance to ignites on here as well, which is nice. And the other option is if you feel like you need another totem, instead of taking primal force, you could come down here and take watchtowers. But the plan is after we get through league start, and if this is feeling pretty good, which based on everything I've done, I think that it will. Sorry, I forgot to mention this is where we're going to get a little bit of mana leech here to help retain some of that. But what I think we'll do is once it's feeling pretty good and I have a little bit of currency, we'll lose these here, and then apply a large cluster jewel right here. And then from there, we'll kind of decide if maybe we want to go with some mediums and maybe lose some of these bow here. Maybe if our gear's good enough on suppress, we can lose a couple of these nodes and steal a couple points and kind of see what happens. But this is what I'm going to start with now. No clusters or anything like that. I think the damage should be good. Survivability should be good. As far as skills, we kind of looked over it a little bit. Explosive arrow in our chest, which is going to give us, elemental damage with attack, deadly ailments. Eventually, I might want to switch over to a level 4 empower. I'm not quite sure what I would lose on this. Ideally, I think it would be ignite prolift, but I would need to replace Well, again, this is probably what it would be, just depending on how it feels. So we'll see how that works out. It might even just be that I don't use it. There's two options that I've basically been thinking of. Maybe you guys will have an idea. Either we go with +1s all over the place to fire and and power and all that kind of stuff, or we do a physical convert, which might be really nice. So I'm gonna give it some thought. Right now I'm kind of leaning more towards stacking +1s and just adding gem levels and just trying to really jack it up like you would on a righteous fire or something like that, just since it really boosts that flat fire. And then but we'll see from there. But so as of right now I'm leaning more towards +1s. Again, you'll have them on your amulet, you can get them on the bow if need be, things like that. But that's kind of my idea. Excuse me. And then for uh, our bow, again, this I want to put this in here because this will be the big damage. And if I do end up deciding to go, +1 to all socketed, +2 to bow gems, then I want it in my bow. You can also get, I believe you can get the +1. You can get them as corruptions for sure, but I think you can get a +1 with one of the influences on body armor. But correct me if I'm wrong. But again, we're just going to go with elemental damage with attacks, ignite prolif, explosive arrow, snipe, deadly ailments, and then control blaze. And obviously that was the case here. I don't have control blaze yet. Maybe they've dropped it. So I can't calculate it in yet. But again, these are all on 5 links, which is pretty nice. Yeah, still no gems. Then we're going to go down to boots, where we'll do cast 1 damage taken in molten shell just for a little defense, and then we'll have flame dash. And right now I have infernal cry. That's probably what I'll go with, just for a little extra damage for the cover enemies in ash. We'll see. I think my survivability is going to be really, really good, especially for softcore. So for hardcore, you might want to go with enduring, but again, you also have a chance to gain endurance charge when hit, coming from inexorable. So that's that. Flame dash, we will have enough int, just because I like flame dash and I think it's the best, and so I'll make sure that I have my intelligence on my gear wherever I need it. As far as our helmet, we are going to go with Anger, Herald of Ash, Determination, and I already have a level 4 Enlightening here, which might be a little too much, and we'll see how that feels. If that is the case, we'll go with maybe Precision and level 3 Enlighten, and then maybe I can avoid some accuracy on my gear early, but eventually the goal will be to probably switch over to Anger. Again, we will need to get accuracy and whatnot on our gear. Even just, as you can see, I don't have any on my gear right now because, like I said, there I wanted to try to keep it super minimal. League start, basic items. There's nice rolls on some of these items, but are nice modifiers, but the rolls are all very subpar. So I tried to find a balance there, so I'm not using top tier gear or anything like that. But again, goal will be to go to Anger eventually. And then as far as gloves, this is where we're going to go with Arcanus brand, flammability, culling strike, and I might throw something else in here, or I might, maybe go with increased duration, something like that. We'll put that in for now, um, just because that makes the most sense. Maybe you guys will have a better idea for that, but that's the plan. And then so that's it for our item or our skills. As far as items, as you can see, this is just +1 middle of the roll fire, middle attack, 1 additional arrow, and elemental damage with attacks. So this is again only 5 mods. They're all middle of the road. Arrow or the quiver, you have damage over time multiplier, fire damage skills to attacks, attack speed, additional arrow. This is probably the most expensive item that I'll be looking for, or that's listed in here, just because but again, these are all middle of the road rolls. Helmet, obviously you can see very basic, fire, cold, life, armor. Astral plate. This will actually become probably become an armor evasion hybrid, so that we can roll spell suppress. I'd like to keep it armor, but just keep that in mind that if depending on how your spell suppression goes with your gloves and some of your other things, this might need to become an armor evasion. Dragon scale, I guess the base doesn't really matter. As you can see, we got spell suppress, fire damage, attack speed, low life, lightning. Astral was pretty basic, armor life, physical damage reduction, and a couple resists. And again, the resists are not being applied on the ascendancy just yet. So all my fire resistance not being applied here. That's why, again, these are very minimal rolls, and many of these will be able to be replaced. Then we move on to the boots. Again, standard movement speed, some chaos res, some life, and some lightning. We probably won't need that lightning, but this will leave room for other things, elusive or whatever it is that you're looking for. You know, if you're doing crit, whatever the case is. Um, Amulet, again, very simple, just some int, some life, fire skill, and damage over time. Those two mods are difficult to get together, but you know, again, once you're into red, you know, high red tier maps, you should be able to find something like this pretty easily for a divine or so. First unique is the Ngamahu's Sign Ruby Ring, and again, I have not price checked this. Let's make sure we do a quick little price check here before we say that it's very obtainable. You guys might already know the answer to that. Let's see. Are we in? Oh, I guess we can't even check. So really, let's see. Is it the sign? Yeah. So see, as you can see, I mean, this is standard, but it's very cheap. It should just be, you know, a couple chaos. You see these all the time, so should be all good. Our other ring, flat fire damage, cold res, lightning, curse enemies with flammability. This is kind of one of the things that I think ideally I get it on the ring, and then I can open up that other my gloves for something else. But it may turn out that, you know, maybe there's another unique ring or something new that I can replace. But this is pretty open, not necessarily anything crazy, because the brand will do just fine to apply. The Didion Dawn, excuse me. We're gonna get that on this. This is a little pricey at league start sometimes, but it's not too bad, and it's a lot of damage. So you'll be okay with just a rare belt until you can get your hands on this. And then as far as flasks, you know, we have just divine. This is the only one I really put in here to that is absolutely specific, and it's just a standard flask, instant recovery and immunity to bleed. Granite for the armor. This has immunity to freeze and chill during effect. You do want the gain 2 charges when you're hit by an enemy. You'll be hit a lot. You don't have any evasion. You're all armor, so it's not really a problem. Again, this one we don't need ignite on there, but it's the +2, so you can put some movement speed or some armor or some attack damage, leeches life, or whatever the case. Or is it physical? It might be physical attack damage, leeches life. But you know, attack speed, movement speed, armor, whatever. Quicksilver, and then we'll do a Cinder Swallow. This will be take a little longer to obtain. I'm personally going to farm the Syndicate along with Expedition, so those will be the ones I'm working on. So hopefully I'll be able to get this pretty quick. They drop pretty easily. And then again, this was the jewel that we looked at, nothing special. And then we have another socket where, you know, we can just put something else. Or here's if you need some flat, you know, you could do something like this: accuracy, life, and fire damage to bow attacks. So that's, you know, pretty nice. But and as far as configuration, you know, we're on Guardian Pinnacle Boss, and we've got 3 million Ignite DPS here, and you know, 5 million here. So you know, damage is pretty good. At least as far as this is concerned, and those are only on 5 links, right? Because we don't have controlled blaze on yet. So once that's on, you know, that'll feel really nice. We have endurance charges, onslaught, which we may or may not. We probably will not have onslaught again. Sorry, that was a mistake. I was playing with that earlier. As you can see, it doesn't make a difference. Do you have a flask active? Yes. Have you hit recently? Have your totems hit recently? Have you been hit recently? Have you suppressed recently? So, as you can see, again, this is all very minimal gear. We haven't this is going to be easy to max out. You only need a 29. A high roll on a chest is something real close to that. So, you know, you'll be able to get it up pretty easily. But yeah, as you can see, I think it'll be fun. You know, there's quite a few explosive arrow ballistas out there, but you know, Chieftain's got this new ascendancy. I've never played a Chieftain, so I thought this could be a lot of fun. Definitely let me know what you think. If you're going to do something similar, if you have some ideas, some ways to improve this, I would love to know what those things are. But I think this thing's going to be pretty cool, and I think it'll be pretty strong. So let me know what you guys think. Please leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys.